The sun is shining, but we're having a fake spring here in Iceland. We just thought the other day that spring was already here, that the weather was really turning warm and summery, but it's not. It's around freezing point. Snowed yesterday. This is typical March in Iceland. We have, or at least here in the southwestern region around Reykjavik, we have one day it's 10 degrees, the next day it's -2, next day it's 10 degrees, next day it's -2, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Meant to hike the mountain, Mófellshnúkar, which I've been aiming to visit. Even went there to the foot of the mountain just earlier, but it was way too windy on the mountain, so I didn't risk it. So, as a little consolation prize or a visit for myself, I've come to Reykjadalur, or Smoky Valley. Everything is Reykja something in the southwest, right? It's the comes from all these steam plumes rising from the ground, geothermic plumes. Reykjadalur is a valley north of the town of Hveragerði, just east of Reykjavik, known for its geothermic pools. Just here by the parking lot is this new, completely ridiculous, massive, mega zipline thing. I don't know how long the line is. This is probably 1.5 kilometers or something like that. Kilometer, maybe a kilometer. Yeah. Yeah. It's a pretty massive thing. I want to try this one day if I can muster the courage. It's pretty steep there down the slopes and over some canyon. Anyway, this is just by the parking lot where the hiking trail starts. As I understand it, higher up in the hills there are some more hot springs, more geothermic areas, and even a bathing pool up on the mountain. I don't know how far we'll hike today. There's a bit of people here, quite a lot of tourists around. Yeah, we'll just go on an easy little walk. Let's call it a walk rather than a hike. The plan was to go on a hike on the mountain, but this is just going to be a more comfortable little walk into Reykjadalur. Please close the gate lest the tourists get out. The funny thing is, I'm seeing only tourists here in the area. Currently everybody's speaking non-Icelandic. I'm the only native in the area, and I seem to be the most heavily dressed one. Everybody else is wearing something lighter. Well, this just means that I'm weak, or that they're not anticipating the cold once they get up there. I'm not sure. I love the message here. It says danger. Hot, 100 degrees, the water, which is boiling point, but it's dangerous, but still there's a well-marked, trodden, easy path right next up to it. This is of course a still spring, so it's not an erupting geyser or an erupting spring, so we can of course safely walk up to it. Mainly what they're doing is that they are warning people that this is not one of the bathing springs. This one is quite a bit warmer. I know I mentioned the delicate nature of nature here in Iceland previously, most likely in relation to moss, specifically the moss which covers our lava fields. Can you see these footsteps? This is the problem. People really need to stick to the trodden paths or the marked paths around these things. The ground around the hot springs is really delicate. This is soft clay, everything constantly kept moist by the moist by the steam. And both the ground, the minerals, you know, that part itself is extremely delicate, and there are some microorganisms living around those springs as well, which are very delicate. So people, please, if you feel you need to get up close, do it with a proper lens. Exactly what I was mentioning. People walking off the trodden path, trampling nature. This is the big problem with tourism here currently, and people not following instructions. And the delicate nature of Iceland, unfortunately, is such that this onslaught in general, this kind of, this careless onslaught is a challenge. It's not a problem if people just stick to the paths, follow the rules. And I hate to be this negative naysayer, but this is a challenge. So please, please follow the instructions. If the signs say do not walk outside of the marked paths, do not walk outside of the marked paths. All right, we're up the main slopes into the proper Reykjadalur, as I believe it is. I believe this area is the actual valley itself, up on the mountain. So this is a walking trail over to Hveragerði, a mountainous area here slightly further north, and over to Hveragerði, the Parliament Fields. I'm sorry if I was a little bit abrupt earlier. I think I'm just taking out my frustrations about not making it to a proper hike today, by being stuck on a muddy trail, which is about as busy as a mall on Saturday. Yeah, the landscape of course looks quite grey, and am I casting a big shadow on my face? No, probably not. Anyway, yes, the landscape does look quite grey and colourless, but that's just this time of year. So the vegetation is still hibernating. So the greens and the rusty reds and the yellows have yet to return with spring. We can see how the creek has this slightly milky quality to it, whitish grey tone. That's the geothermic water flowing into it. So this is probably parts of the hot springs up there flow into the creek here. So this is the bathing area, where some hot geothermic water flows into the creek. And well, people back in the days, and still of course, stop by to have a hot dip or a warm dip. I don't know exactly how warm it is. Very popular in summertime, definitely. Less so now, but there are some people still taking a dip. Okay, there is plenty of people bathing. The creek is apparently warm enough. But this is also where the trail separates. You can continue onwards to, well, almost on your way to Hveragerði, the Parliament Fields, or over to the valleys in Hveragerði, the mountain. But we made it up here. I'm feeling slightly better. I'm not as pissed off anymore, so I got to go out on a little bit of a hike. So I'm going to return back though and just enjoy the leisurely walk downhill with the sun in my face. If you're here in summertime, I definitely recommend the small hike. Just remember, stick to the trails. Thanks for joining me on the small walk. See you in the next one.